Little.
Mr Chairman, and for giving me the opportunity to speak on this very important bill. And what is very clear, Mr Chairman, is that government members have spent the night trying to convince the House and all New Zealanders that this bill makes no significant difference to the existing Act. And of course, nothing could be further from the truth. And my learned colleague, the Honourable David Parker, has adumbrated the changes to the existing Section 8, or the new Clause 8, which demonstrates that the powers under this bill for the GCSB have been significantly expanded, both through the definition of the target for surveillance, which is now described as information infrastructure, which is not just computer systems, but it is now a very broad definition. And of course, what it also does is, in the new Section 8, in describing the functions of the Bureau, no longer limits it to foreign intelligence. And so even with that, Mr Chairman, the next best thing we might do is look at the safeguards that are provided for in the bill. And the point I want to make, and I will myself adumbrate these a little as I tread warily on in my speech, is to show that the safeguards are virtually non-existent. And I turn first to the new Section 8C in Clause 6, which sets out the other departments and agencies that the GCSB will be allowed to assist, which is all very well. And Peter Dunn has very nobly said that his SOP, if it passed, will mean that the government cannot simply add departments, but will have to amend the legislation if they want to add any more departments. That's as good as far as it goes, but actually it isn't good enough because of subsection 2 of the new Section 8C, which says, to avoid doubt, the Bureau may perform its function under, and I cut to the chase through to paragraph C of that subsection that says, even though the advice and assistance might involve the exercise of powers by, or the sharing of the capabilities of, the Bureau, that the Bureau is not or could not be authorised to exercise or share in the performance of its other functions. So here we have a safeguard that's not a safeguard. Give the appearance of constricting and restraining and limiting the GCSB's powers, but then give it an out, that it can do whatever it likes because it will be able to rely on Section 8C, subsection 2, paragraph C. That is no safeguard at all, and that confirms the anxiety that many New Zealanders have that this legislation, in addition to expanding to an extraordinary degree the powers that the GCSB currently has, now provides no real safeguard. And even if my other learned colleague, the Honourable Trevor Mallard, is correct in his concerns about the new Section 5, and A does not mean A, it doesn't matter, because Section 8C, subsection 2, paragraph C, will protect the GCSB from exercising its powers in any context and in any way at all. Let's move to the new Section 8CA, with the principles underpinning the performance of the Bureau's functions. Very noble and honourable setting out of the principles in subsection 1 of that new proposed section. It'll be in accordance with New Zealand law. All human rights and standards will be observed and exercised. It will discharge its operational functions independently and impartially. Fantastic, grand, to be commended. But it's all ruined by subsection 2. Subsection 2 comes in and completely destroys any benefit there might be. In fact, not just subsection 2, subsection 3 as well. Subsection 2 says, subsection 1 does not impose particular duties on the director. So even though there are these principles, the director will have no duty to abide by them at all. And then subsection 3 says, gives the appearance of some sort of protection, says the director must take all reasonable steps to ensure that the activities of the Bureau are limited to those that are relevant, and so on. Basically, a set of factors that look like a codification of the principles of ultra vires or intra vires. Here's the thing, as the first defence might be to say, or argument might be to say, well, why have all reasonable steps? There's other language that the government could use in a bill like this. What about all practicable steps, which is much firmer, much tighter? But the real question is, why have this provision at all if you don't want it? Mr Chairman? Mr Chairman?
Dr.
Chairman?
Jiang Yang.
Move that question be now put.
Mr Chairman, Mr Chairman.
For the Honourable Mary Ann Street.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair.